You have an iconic phrase. What's your go-to? How'd you start a fight?
Do you know what? People ask me that all the time, but I suppose that what I have at the moment is, are you ready to be entertained?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, prepare to be entertained. That's usually my go-to. And I remember Kieran said, my brother's doing this new thing. And I was like, what's that? And he said, Thai boxing. What's this? Never heard of it. So he went, yeah, watch it. And we put this video on, and Alan's getting kneed. And we went, can you do that? Yeah, he's getting kneed in the body. You can even throw elbows.
He's a madness.
Is this allowed? Where can we do this?
What's good, people? How you feeling? I'm Christian Shepherd, accompanied by Nadine.
Nadine Scott.
Big up, big up. So today, introducing to the thousands in attendance and listening around the world, we have Peter Lowe, the man in the know, a ring announcer who's a highly recognised voice throughout the fight scene in the UK and around the world. He's the master of ceremonies for Enfusion, and as a ring announcer, he's been a close spectator of many spectacular fights. So we're going to see what he's got to say about the game. So without further ado, welcome.
Oh, mate.
Hi.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
having
you
me
for
down.
coming.
Oh, thank
What's
you.
happening?
Yeah.
How you
Pleasure
doing?
to be here.
So firstly, do you have an iconic phrase? What's your go-to? How'd you start a fight?
Do you know what? People ask me that all the time, but I suppose that what I have at the moment is, are you ready to be entertained?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, prepare to be entertained. That's usually my go-to catchphrase. But yeah, it changes. It changes. You have to keep looking at it, don't you? Going, how about that? Yeah.
So how
Let's
did
be
you get into announcing and being an announcer? So what's your story into where you are today?
Well, really, I'm a lifelong fight fan. So
Yeah.
my dad was, I suppose, for most people, for a lot of people that get into fight sports, it's a relative or a family, isn't it? So
What sport did
for
your
me-
dad do?
he used to be a bodyguard, but he'd boxed as a kid. And,
Oh, okay.
Oh, sick.
and he'd been a merchant. He was in the merchant. He was born in 1935. He was like the youngest of 14.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
He travelled the world. He had crazy stories about being shot at in the Yemen and knife fights in Colombia and like crazy stuff. And as a kid, you listen to all these stories and they were fascinating. And I loved to. He'd teach me how to box. As soon as I could stand, he put gloves on me and said, "Right, you're going to learn to fight," sort of thing.
Yeah, nice.
But he didn't want me to be bullied, and he didn't want me to be a bully, and that was the main thing. He didn't want me to be a fighter. It was against me. He didn't really like me. I used to sneak down to, years later when I started training, I used to have to sneak down to the gym.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he probably initially got my interest up, and we used to watch boxing together as a kid.
Yeah.
We used to watch everything that I could. And then probably about 12 years old was when I was first 11, 12 years old, I was first introduced to Thai boxing. And at the time, there wasn't a lot. There weren't a lot of shows around the country, So it was Alan Keddle was actually my introduction to it. Kieran Keddle I grew up with, so I knew him from. We went to primary school together, so we've known each other since we were about six years old. And his brother moved down from Manchester. He'd learned Thai boxing in Manchester. And I remember Kieran said, my brother's doing this new thing. And I was like, what's that? And he said, Thai boxing. I'm like, what's this? Never heard of it. So he went, yeah, watch it. And we put this video on, and Alan's getting kneed. And we went, can you do that? Yeah, he's getting kneed in the body. You can even throw elbows.
He's a madness.
Is this allowed? Where can we do this? So within a few months of us watching that video, I think Alan lost that fight, but it was a war. I think he'd got knocked down 3 times. He had his ribs broken, and we were amazed by this. Couldn't believe that this was something you could do in this country. So he moved down from Manchester a short while after that, and then set up in a leisure centre, a little gym. Yeah. And that was our first. Tell a lie, I actually went to a patchy gym. I don't know if that's even there anymore, in New Addington.
Okay.
And that was my first lesson. I sparred with I didn't even know how to kick. I sparred with some 17-year-old for 3 rounds. He battered me. And then Alan actually taught me something after when I started with him. And then we used to follow him up and down the country. Yeah. We used to go to his shows, and he was super exciting to watch. Alan, he was the more exciting out of the Keddle brothers.
Oh really?
Yeah. Kieran, I hate that.
Oh really?
But he was a big puncher. So you didn't know what was going to happen. Alan could be out pointed, or he could be out boxed, but he could also take anyone's head off. He was, he had phenomenal power. So he was always in exciting fights. We used to follow him everywhere. So that was really it was then sort of from 12 and, really Keddle's gym that made me fall in love with the sport, if you like.
Good. Yeah. And then becoming an announcer. So how did that come about? It's not.
Well, yeah, I worked at. I did various jobs, and then I wanted to work in my early 20s. I'd done various things. I moved out when I was young, and I wanted to work around something that I loved, as opposed to just picking up a check each week. So I wrote to everybody I knew in boxing. I used to, I was avid. I used to read Boxing News every week and Boxing Monthly all the time, and I'd get anything I could get my hands on, books. I'd soak it all up. So I wrote to everybody I knew in boxing, promoters, managers. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, what I could do, but I thought, well, I've got passion, surely I can use that. So I wrote to everybody. I got a job at Sky TV on the boxing team there, and was there for a few years, which was amazing. Got to work with my heroes and that, people like Barry McGuigan and Jim Watt and Glenn McCrory, and you saw another side of it. You met a lot of the the fighters, that Calzaghe and Patton, stuff like that. And then I moved abroad for a while, and it was about 5 years on and off abroad, and then came back to the UK, and I was a bit lost. I didn't really know what I was doing. Got a little job in a hospital just to earn some money, but didn't really know where I was going. And Kieran and Steve Gladstone were putting on a show in Swanley, and Kieran actually fought on it, so it was his fight, and he was looking for an MC. So Kieran and Steve both like to take credit, so they gave me my first shot. Really, it's Anne Kedal, it's Kieran's mum. Because he went home and he was going, I need an MC, and Anne went, get Peter, he'll be good at that. So thank you, Anne Kedal. That was, and it was a childhood dream for me, it was something we talked about, that one day he'd fight and I'd announce him, So to actually do that, and that was his last fight anyway, so... So I got to announce him, and then it just spiraled from there. People saw me at that and said, "Would you do my show?" And and then would you do this show? And then and there I am, like almost 10 years on. Really,
amazing.
From that.
So you've seen some great fights. You've been up close and personal to these fights.
A lot.
Any stand out to you over the years?
Recently, Łukasz, Krupadziorow, and Arnold, Oborotov.
That was
savage.
That was savage. I mean, there were teeth on the next to me.
Savage.
And whatever those guys were getting paid wasn't enough.
Say that again.
Whatever those guys were getting paid wasn't enough.
For sure.
They really put it all on light. So that was savage. It was.
I think a lot of people expected it to go the other way as well. Yeah.
Did you think so?
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a 50-50 fight. I thought if anything, I was leaning more to Arnold. I thought Arnold would have been a favourite if you'd have put a gun to my head and said pick a winner. I'd have probably picked Arnold.
Okay.
But I knew it wasn't going to be an easy fight, and the heavyweights, anything.
Big lads, big punches.
I mean, really and truly, I wouldn't want to put any money on it at all. Gun to my head or not. But if I'd have had to, I'd have picked that. I'd have picked Arnold, I suppose.
Yeah, awesome.
That was a standout. What else? I think Daniel Terry and Paul Barber. Shane O'Neill when he fought. Singh.
Yes. That was a good fight.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. And I got wrapped up in that fight at the time. I can remember because it was a flash knockdown. I was thinking that should be a count, surely. But that was amazing. That and Singh, he'd just come back from Thailand and he kicked like a horse, and you could hear even the kicks that the kicks that Shane was blocking. You were thinking, get your arm out of the way, mate. I'd have got out of the ring. I'd have jumped out. I'd have jumped into my trainer's arms. Like this.
But saying about getting out the ring, you've actually had a fight, haven't you? You had a boxing fight last year, didn't you? Was that your first
If you want to call it that,
it was. You stepped in the ring.
It takes a lot to get in that ring.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get in the ring. Let's talk about your training and what made you step in the ring. And
because now you got context, so you have a little bit more of a taste of what the fighter's going through now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, how was it?
Yeah, it was just, I loved it, to be honest. I really enjoyed it, it was one of those that it was me and Lee Roach were promoting a show, just a white-collar show. And one of the fighters was a lump, and he needed an opponent, and Lee said, well, why don't you have a fucking fight then? So I went, yeah, all right then. And then you've said that, you got to back it up, haven't you?
Did you train as much as, was your head in like a fighter's head? Was you like, yeah, I'm going to train for this. I'm training every day. I'm eating
I only had
right.
7 weeks, 7 weeks.
That's enough.
So yeah, you say that. It's not really, is it? But, no, I only had 6 or 7 weeks, and I don't really. I'm not an athlete, believe it or not. I don't look after myself that well. So I smoke and I have a drink, and I thought, well, I have to lose some weight. I have to do a bit of training. I said to Lee at the time, should I give up smoking and drinking? He went, no, you probably get more ill. So just carry on doing what you're doing. Yeah, just get used to moving your arms. You got 6 weeks. Yeah, you got 6 weeks, Pete. He went, you'll probably pick up an illness. Just get used to moving your arms. Do your little bit. He didn't want to push me too far and then have muscles flicking out of my body and ruin me. So he said, look, just do what you do. Do your bit of training. Just move around. He couldn't beast me too much.
Okay.
So yeah, I did what I could, and I listened to my trainer, and Lee taught me. He worked on some things with me, and I loved it. I didn't get hit. My wife was going, don't come home with a broken nose. And I thought, right, I'll show you now. I'm not going to get hit at all.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, if I was fitter, yeah, I would, yeah.
Yeah, being so integrated, do you not feel inspired to take the fitness and stuff a little bit more seriously?
I've never been. I didn't. When I started doing Thai boxing, for instance, I didn't do it for fitness.
Yeah.
I did it just because I didn't want to be bullied, and I wanted to knock out bullies at school, really and truly. And and where we lived at the time, there could be some. Like most places, there's violence outside.
Where did you grow up?
Alpington.
Yeah.
So, and Alpington's a fighting town. It's known for it. There's a lot of, you've got Amigos gym, you've got Kettle's gym. There's a lot of fighters down that way. It seems like whenever I go to a show, there's someone from Alpington on the show. So that was really why I did it for, self-defense reasons, if you like. And then all the exercise, when it becomes training or repetitive, I struggle with that.
Okay.
But it's when it's not. Doesn't feel like exercise, for instance. So kayaking, walking, things like that, they don't feel like exercise to me, and I can do that all day.
Leisurely hobbies.
Yeah. The minute it starts to feel like training, I'm like, why am I doing this for? Do I really care? My wife still loves me, so who cares if I've got a gunt or whatever it is? Real men have gunts or something, aren't they? So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so on the current scene and where we're at today within the UK fight scene and whatnot, what's your view on it? Who's doing it well in regards to promotions and stuff like that? So you got MTGP, obviously. Yeah. Of promotions. Who do you think's up there at the top? And
MTGP, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say that, aren't I? I like what MTGP are doing.
Yeah.
At the moment.
What are they doing
with regards to Thai boxing?
Yeah.
Well, they've got that base in London at the O2, where they've been putting on shows, and they're established there. And then they're putting a lot of shows on elsewhere, all around the world, and they're trying to create something and create a brand and create a platform for fighters to launch on from, really. Yeah. So I do think they're doing good things. The Paris, I think I'm out there next month. But they've got shows all over, all over the world at the moment, and they're talking to people. So they've got big plans, and UFC Fight Pass, it's on there.
Cool.
And again, it's a good platform for people, and it costs them money to do that, so that they've got plans, and Phil and Simon there are trying to do things, and for me, it's I feel like it's my show sort of thing, I know all those people involved, and you get to know the security at the venues, and everyone from like, as I say, door staff to the cleaners to the production guys, the officials, they all do such a good job. So MTGP. There are a lot of all those, without forgetting MTGP, it's all those little small shows that maybe don't have a big profile. They're the ones that feed things like Yokkao and MTGP, realistically, aren't they? And they're the heroes. Jesse Saunders putting on a show in Guildford in January when no one else is doing it. Those are the Amir putting on shows. All those guys with the smaller shows, putting them on up and down the country, feeding these big shows. They're the heroes, really. They take the risk and sometimes make a loss. And they keep doing it, keep giving those kids opportunities. Sometimes they're doing it just to get their fighters out there and give them a chance. And the majority of people I work for want to see good fights, good even fights. So it's a tough sport to be in, though, and it's a tough place to make money in as a promoter. So my heart goes out to those guys. They work hard.
Yeah.
I don't get enough said about them. I think some of those smaller promoters.
Yeah. So you travelled a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well travelled.
Yeah. I mean.
Do you go to all the Muay Thai Grand Prix? So they've done one in Baghdad, haven't they?
Yeah.
Italy,
We went to Baghdad.
So do you go to all of them with them?
No, I go to some of them. I don't go out to, but and some of them cross over. Sometimes I get booked elsewhere, and I can't do that. But yeah, Paris is. I'm a regular over in Paris. That's a nice short trip for me as well.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of shows, small and white collar shows and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, because you do boxing as well.
Yeah,
don't you?
so there's a lot of little shows on weekends that I get booked for, so I can't always get away. My wife gets the hump with me being away too often. But yeah, I've done Baghdad. I've Thailand, Koh Samui. I've done a couple of times out there, all over Europe, Estonia, all over Spain. France, Cyprus, we've done it all over the place, really. Yeah, I've got a fridge full of magnets because I forget all the countries I've been to.
Nice. What about the Dutch kickboxing scene? How much do you know about that?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
What do you find different to the UK scene? Is there any differences?
Yeah, big differences. I mean, they don't have boxing to compete with.
Yeah,
I think that's something that, if you like, holds back the UK scene, because boxing really is our number one fight sport.
Yeah,
there's no way around it.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's a lot of it's the history. Again, your mum and dad, they might not know what Muay Thai is, but you don't have to explain to them what boxing is. And young kids, when sometimes you have to work hard to find good Muay Thai fights. You have to go on the internet and go on YouTube, but boom, you open up YouTube and there's weigh-ins for Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury everywhere.
It's publicised a lot more.
And they get column inches in papers as well, whereas a lot of other fight sports don't.
I hear you.
So that Holland, for instance, doesn't have that to compete against. They don't really have the strong boxing scene. So kickboxing shows, K1 style shows, they make it onto the telly. They make newspaper headlines, and there's gyms all over the place, and they're packed with talent. And you've got a big Dutch Moroccan scene out there, a big Dutch Turkish scene, and they, Turks and Moroccans have a strong pedigree of producing good fighters. So again, that rubs off. So you find yourself doing 35 fights with killers, all the way through the show. Fighters that you think, wow, where did you come from? Some young kid that's amazing, that looks like an accountant, that you think, well. Yeah. So the scene's really strong. They have a lot of shows and they have a lot of good talent.
What do you think the UK thing could do to help promote fighters even more, and just to get kickboxing more out there, more more people involved in it, and Muay Thai?
It needs more exposure, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
It needs more. TV is often the thing, and it's not. I don't think it's ever gonna. Like Muay Thai, for instance, is never gonna be on Sky. I don't think.
Why?
You'll have like one or two. I just don't think it will. I don't.
It's a lot more.
It was hard enough. It was hard enough. Sky. I used to see. Boxing was almost a fringe sport at Sky. Believe it or not.
Oh really?
Yeah, and look at what Sky have done. They've cut back on a lot. You used to have Ringside, which was like a magazine show on a Wednesday, and then every week you'd be up and down the country, even at small hall shows, British titles and stuff like that. Now they're not doing that. Ringside show isn't there, so they focus on the pay-per-views and the bigger shows. So, you have all those little promoters around that are trying to those fighters trying to get onto that pay-per-view stage. Yeah. So. That is a big thing, and it costs a lot. It's not. You don't know with boxing whether you're going to get 5 seconds of fight action.
That's true.
Or you're going to get an hour. You can't tell. Whereas football, you're getting 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 93.
Yeah.
But you know what you get, and you know when there's going to be a break. You know when something's going to happen. You don't know with boxing or fight sports what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So it's a harder sports are televised. There's a lot that goes into it. So yeah, if boxing struggles on Sky, then what's Thai boxing going to do? And again, you're competing. If they're going to do that, they think, well, we might as well put boxing on. So I think almost you need to do what like some of the boxing promoters have done, and what Enfusion's done. You know, they've kind of like Frank Warren, for instance, they've taken ownership of it, haven't they? They've made their own channel. Yeah. Enfusion have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, where they've got their own. You know, if you want to watch it, yes, they sell it around the world to. I think it goes out to 60 odd countries, but really and truly, they've gone, okay, you can subscribe to our channel, you know, on our website, and they've kind of taken the reins for themselves. And I think that's something that promoters are going to have to do. You know, they're going to have to be self-reliant because it's hard to get Thai boxing and kickboxing on TV. The little things as well don't help for the crossover. If I'm honest, the music doesn't help.
Yeah, Thai music.
It though, man. It puts me in a mood for it.
Yeah,
Do you know
I understand that, and you know,
it's
again,
cultural, that's
I've been watching.
standpoint.
I get that,
Do you know
and
what I'm
I've been
saying?
watching shows since I was a kid. But these are things for TV that you know. I know for a fact. I mean, my dad's dead now, but if I know for a fact, if I was sitting here with my dad watching Thai boxing, he'd be like,
turn that
"What is this music down? Mute this." He would be totally confused by that, and he'd be like, "Oh, I can't stand watching this. The music's doing me head in." Things like the 2 minute break doesn't help.
Yeah,
that's what MTGP do. They only give you a minute rest. I think that's better. It quickens it. Quickens it up. 5 1.5s again doesn't cross over to TV, and they've sort of again MTGP have done the similar thing where they've done 3 2s, 3 3s, so they've kept it like that. Enfusion do the same sort of thing where it's 3 3s, and then for title fights or eliminators it's 5s. I think those are some of the things we need as well. You need a crossover star that you can get behind. You need column inches. It's not one thing. There's big issues, around the whole thing. And we've got so much passion as a community in Thai boxing and kickboxing. I'm a fight, and we're all connected as well. Fight fans are. I'm a fight fan. I love boxing. I love Muay Thai. I love K1. I love MMA. I love all those disciplines, but you might have one that you prefer more than the other. But we're all people cross over. The fighters go from one thing to another, and why not? So instead of us all working separately, we need to work together more. The community needs to work together more. Fighters need to understand that when you've got a big show, for instance, and there's some money in it, that all right, you got to support that, and not be unrealistic with your demands.
Do you think some fighters are unrealistic with the demands? Because they're putting their lives on the line to step in the ring and entertain others.
I totally get that, and like I said earlier, I don't think Arnold, Oborotov, and Łukasz Krupadziorow got enough. But then it wouldn't matter if they were on Sky getting millions. I wouldn't have thought they were getting paid enough.
Yeah.
I totally understand that, and yes, they do deserve it. But then the promoters are the ones also taking the risks as well, and they're the ones that sometimes. They deserve to make a profit. They're the ones going to sleep for 4 months thinking, is this fight going to fall through? Is that fight going to happen? So, everyone needs to make their little bit. And I've seen it. I know for a fact that it happens. So, for instance, there's big shows where there's been some money in it, and suddenly people's fees have gone up by 5-6 grand. And you think, look, are you just trying to milk it as much as you can?
Yeah. Thinking,
well, this isn't going to last. I'll get as much out while I can. And then those shows go away, and we wonder why. I've seen shows come and go because of that. The TV comes into it, and people think, right, there's loads of money in this now. I can make big demands, and it's got to work for everyone. So I see it from the fighter's perspective, but I also see it. I've done a little bit of promoting, and I can see it from the promoter's perspective as well. And
I guess it's also the audience as well. You have to get bums on seats essentially.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I had a conversation with Simon Jays the other day, and he was saying that it's a promoter's job to sell tickets.
So not the fighters.
No,
promoters.
It shouldn't be the fighter's job, but unfortunately it is. And I even said to him, well, look at those top guys like her, and the fighters don't have to sell tickets, but at the same time they don't get signed until unless they're a draw and they're selling tickets. And that's the same. All those top guys, they only promote people that are already ticket sellers.
Yeah.
Fighters have to understand that we're struggling. We're a small sport, and they have to do their bit. I know it's tough for fighters because so many of them have to work part time and and train part time, and it's tough. But you have to also sell tickets if you want to get places. That is just a reality. You can like it or not, but it's a business as well, and people, there needs to be interest. You need to get tickets. Fighters need to create a buzz about themselves and market themselves.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
That's a massive thing.
Don't do.
Branding themselves up. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen it where fighters are, they're fighting on a big stage. They get an opportunity, and sometimes they're low, C-class fighters, and they're selling 4 tickets, and you think, well, you're London based, you're in the O2, and you're selling 4 tickets, and I think that doesn't seem right. You've got a big opportunity there, so they've got to do their part as well and realise it's. And it also helps them. I mean, I say this to young fighters, and this is a big tip of mine. People are human, right? So judges are influenced by crowd noise.
Yeah.
Referees are influenced by crowd noise. Crowds are influenced by crowd noise. We are all influenced, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And if you and me are fighting and I hit you in this silence, but then you hit me and 30 people scream.
Yeah.
That's what a judge or people next door, and that's the impression it can give off that you're winning. It doesn't matter if you've hit me harder or I've hit you harder, or if I've hit you more. Even the impression that's coming across is that I am, which is why home advantage means so much. And we can all say this is unfair, but this is the reality. It is the reality.
Well, the crowd's not on your side as such, but the crowd's got an association with you, right? Do you know what I mean? So they've connected with a fighter on a personable level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if me and you are fighting and I'm known to a home crowd, then obviously they're going to be like, oh yeah, he's got the accent, he's got the you know what I mean? We know his personality.
Yeah.
And we got this geezer, you know what I mean? Still a great fighter, doesn't take anything away from you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you're just on a different platform almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is just the nature of the thing.
Yeah.
Home support. This is why in football you have a home leg and an away leg.
Yeah, man. And advantage is always playing at home.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Up.
So there is no getting around it. We can all say, oh, it's unfair. That shouldn't be the case, but it is. And the referees and the judges, I know some amazing judges. And refs, and
for sure.
The vast majority are very conscientious. They don't want to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
They beat themselves up.
That's a fucking hard job. That's a fucking hard job.
Yeah, they get a lot of criticism. And they leave themselves open for that. Even within their own group of friends, if you like. That I've seen them argue about decisions. With their fighters amongst themselves. So, people want to make the right decision, but we're influenced. So, if you're a fighter, I would say, listen. Do yourself a favour. If you're fighting, sell as many tickets as you can, and it will help you. It will give you that drive when things are getting tough. It will drag you back off of the floor. It will help you win a fight on points if it's close. It's just the reality of it.
Yeah, that's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, but sometimes tickets are so expensive.
And that's another thing.
So many things need to be paid for.
Yeah.
You've got the venues which want money, security, insurance, there's a whole long list of things that those guys have to pay out for. So, you got to bear that in mind.
Yeah.
It's tough for those promoters, so we have to give them.
Do you always make the decision in your head before the judges do? You watch the fight and you're on the ringside and you're like, yo, you know what I mean? It goes one way and you think it should have gone the other, and...
Sometimes, of course. I mean, there have been times when people have given me a scorecard or told me
what the fuck were you watching?
Like,
I went watching that same fight, bro.
Blue corner, and they go, yeah, definitely, all of you, unanimous, right? Yeah. Interesting. But that's
game,
why
innit?
you have fighters
That's
at different.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a fight that's happened in front of me here at the ropes, and. I'm talking to a corner man afterwards who's a friend of mine who's watched the fight from there, where the cupboard is, for instance, and he's seen a different fight to me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, well, it was in front of me. I've watched the whole thing. He didn't win. And he's like, he did. I watched him, and he was... And I'm like, no, you didn't. You were cheering when the other guy landed. So, this is why you have 3 judges at different points of the ring.
Yeah.
Because you can see it from different perspectives and different points of view.
Yeah.
It's subjective sometimes, isn't it? It's what you prefer. Style wise, did the guy on the back foot win it? Did the aggression count for more for you? Etc.
Yeah, it's almost like your subconscious takes over from your kind of, you know what I mean, the way your favourite.
Often, if you're cheering, if you're watching someone that's a friend of yours, you're watching them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to watch something
the
back.
opponent,
Sometimes you have to watch it back and think, okay, now I've watched that back, I see it in a different way because I was watching it differently. Or you get excited, in the crowd, and you're cheering, and everyone else is cheering, and you all start to get the impression that someone's winning when they're not. And the fighters can sometimes have an impression that they're winning and they're not.
God, that must be so hard in the ring. Like I said, I'm an outsider looking in. I've had a few interclubs, whatever. But you're in the ring, and you even see like on UFC fights, see them go back to the corner, and they're like, "What round is it?" Like, where we at? Do you know what I mean? And you could think you're winning. Do you know what I mean? You're going to war at the end of the day, and then it's a unanimous decision, and then all of a sudden it goes to the other side, and it's like rah. Yeah. And then that's when you say you got to go back, watch it yourself, and watch the other fighter and analyze it yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know what I mean? But
that's why sometimes I try and hold back judgment and think, I need to watch this at home really to get. I mean, how many times? Sometimes
with no music on.
No
mute.
Fast forward the 2-minute break. But no, you do have to. It's like I watch boxing. Sometimes I think, he definitely won that, and I think I need to go back back on that and score that round by round, and then sometimes you go, okay. Although he finished strong and he left me with the impression that he won. Really, he lost 7 out of the 12 sessions, so he did lose the fight. And you have to. I've learned that over the years.
Man, I wonder if it's ever on the flip where you can be in a fight. I mean, again, I'm not speaking from experience, but if you're in a fight and you think you're winning and then you lose, or you think you're losing and then you win, you know what I mean? It could go any way, I guess, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It is one of them.
That's why fighters have to watch it back as well.
Yeah. And coaches.
Yeah.
So, man in the know. That's what you also. Who did that come from? I've heard Vinny Shaw gave you that title. Is it true?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
did that
I think it was doing an Enfusion show, and he went over to the man in the know, Peter Lowe, and that just stuck. And I thought, okay,
nice.
It's not a bad little tagline.
But it is. You do know so much about the fighting game, the fighting scene here in the UK. There must be so many secrets that you know. Well, not secrets, but just things that that probably no one else on the outside would get a look in it.
Yeah, I like a chat, so I talk to everyone I get to a show. I always get to shows a few hours early, and I try and talk to all the fighters to make sure I've got their their
names,
their details right, and where they're from, and so on, stuff like that. So, and in that time, you get talking to everyone, don't you? And people tell you little things, and you hear stories about people and rumours. It's a rumour mill as well, isn't it? Our industry. So you hear little things, you hear stories, but it's a lifetime in and around the sport. You hear things, you pick stuff up. So this is my passion. This is what I'm serious about, and this is what I study. I know a few things, I suppose. Yeah.
Are you going to share any?
Well,
give me some knowledge.
Give me some knowledge. Come on. Just give us something.
Over the years, do you know how long have you been doing it for? In total,
almost 10 years now. I think it's. Actually it's 8. I've started to say 10, but I think it's about 8 years.
You got to round it up, and it's one of them.
Yeah.
So any of the
give us a did you know moment, like, oh my god, did you know?
Well, it's hard to think of at the moment, things like that. But it's it's like when you see fights and you see someone lose, but then afterwards and you think, he underperformed, and then you hear that he wasn't training properly, or he got knocked out in sparring, and it's not the sort of thing you want to talk about often, because you don't want to embarrass someone or highlight someone, because we're all human. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. We all fuck up, don't we? So a lot of those things you might hear, but you don't necessarily want to move it on. You hear about fights that are going to be made. That's a big one. There's fights that you hear about, mate, that sometimes you want to say and then think, I don't know if this is public knowledge yet. I can't announce this, so you can't say anything. Are there
any
more
fights
stuff like
that you're really looking forward to seeing, like any fighters that you think you've seen them in the scene and you just think, they should get together? I think that would make an amazing fight. Is there any fighters?
There's always styles make fights, don't they?
Yeah.
So often, you're attracted to the raw, the brutal fights that are going to be wars, like Arnold and Łukasz, which is why that comes into the head so quickly. Styles make fights. Often I'm told about a fight and I think, that would be brilliant. And sometimes I hear about a fight and think, that's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be an ugly fight to watch. It depends. I mean, when you say like that, they're fighters that I look forward to. I'll give you an instance of when I first saw Alex Bublia.
Okay, yeah.
now when I first started, roughly, he was just starting as well. And the first time I saw him, I think, was on what was it called? Explosion. And it was at the O2. And Alex, I can't remember who Alex fought, but he got dropped multiple times and he was awful. But he had such heart. He was phenomenal heart. But he was awful. So he was getting dropped and shaking his head and running back in. And I remember thinking, this kid's pretty raw, but he's got massive minerals, So someone like that, you can't teach that kind of bravery, and you can't teach that kind of courage and drive. So afterwards, I messaged him and I was like, keep it up. You got massive heart. Yeah. He didn't keep it up because of me, but I mean, look at him now. Alex isn't maybe the most skillful fighter in the world, but no one's going to beat him in a battle of hearts. If it comes down to who's going to take it more, Alex will, he'll fight to the end. So it was people like that. Shevket was another one that Team Chew. I've always thought was an underrated fighter, and he was another one that I used to see years ago when he was at Red Dragons, and I used to think, he's old school tough. And those guys have stuck at it, and they've got better and better and better. Alex and Shevket, again, they're massively different fighters, and they've really dedicated themselves. But it's those fighters you look forward to fighting, because they're always going to be in good fights. Friends of yours, you become friends with people over the years, so you always look forward to seeing your friends fight as well. Yeah. And you want to see them in good fights. You want them to win, but you want it to be fair and stuff like that. And so there's not really fights particular that I'm trying to think of fights that I really want to happen. I don't really want to play promoter as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, go on.
Start picking out fights, but I mean, there's some great fights. There's some great fighters out there. And I think in our scene, they fight each other. Yeah, they don't really get kept away. You get some fights that don't happen. It happens in all fight sports, but I think on the whole in our sport, the fighters.
Yeah, I think Muay Thai and kickboxing here in the UK, like anyone will fight anyone. Yeah, they're just happy to get a fight. Yeah,
and boxing, how many big fights never happen?
Yeah,
I was thinking for a while that Liam Harrison and Charlie would never happen.
Yeah.
And
it did.
Yeah, brilliant. Glad it did, as it should.
And that was a good fight as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Charlie fought the right game plan. I thought that's what he had to do. It's not going to war with Liam was never going to be.
Got some fucking naughty leg kicks.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That's the thing as well. I don't think Charlie was intimidated by that leg kick, and he spent most of his life not checking leg kicks as well. So, I don't think that.
I bet he worked him in that camp. I bet he worked him in that camp.
I think after that first round, he was like, okay, those leg kicks didn't hurt me as much as I was expecting them to hurt. And I think that boosted his confidence massively. Yeah. But I mean, he fought the right game plan. Charlie, he was really good that night. But going to war with Liam would have been the wrong tactic to fight the way he fought was perfect.
Yeah, it was great. And he won.
But again, that's another one, isn't it? Style clash, the wicked style clash. Two totally different types of mindsets, two different types of fighters, completely, really. You couldn't have got a bigger contrast, and the fights like that always excite me. Yeah, and it was so big because you had everyone talking about it. I'd go up to one part of the country and people were talking about it, saying whether it should happen or not happen, or who they thought would win, and you'd be in other parts of the country and they were talking about it. So it felt like everywhere I was going there was a buzz around it, and people were talking about it for about a year before it happened.
Yeah, but we're really looking forward to it happening.
Yeah. Do you think the buzz is created because of the personalities and because of the fight history as well? Yeah.
And the best is fighting the best. The two guys in number 1 and 2 in the scene. Yeah. So it should be, isn't it? Number 1 should fight the number 2. That's the way it is. But that was things like that. When I hear fights like that, I get excited. Yeah. That was a special night. Yeah.
And you announced it, obviously.
Yeah,
of course.
I did announce Liam as being from Manchester as well.
Oh, where did he take that?
Not great. Didn't like it, funny enough. Yeah. I did actually tell Vinny last time I was
do you know them guys personally? Do you know Vinny and that personally?
Yeah, I've shared rooms with him loads of times on Infusion. But I think I told Vinny I said, I'm sorry. You tell Liam sorry.
Yeah.
And I think he was on the phone to Liam, and he went, "Oh, by the way, I'm with Peter." He says, "Sorry for announcing you as being from Manchester." And I think Liam said, "Tell him apology not accepted." so yeah, I did get a Christmas card from Liam this year. I did correct myself on the second announcement that said he was from Leeds, and everyone looked at me and went, "You dickhead," and I went, "Yeah, all right, I know. I fucked up bigger shows than this. Don't worry."
Have you ever had any fuck ups like?
Oh, loads, yeah.
We all make mistakes doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So announcing the wrong corner or.
Yeah, sometimes that's not my fault. So, yeah, a lot of the time that's not my fault. I want to highlight that now. Yeah, sometimes they give me the list, and then I announce the red corner, and someone completely different comes out, and I'm like, okay. Are you going to tell me that the list had changed? Or do you just want to make me look a dick in the middle of the ring? And everyone's like, dickhead, you got it wrong.
I mean, that is out of your hands, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If it's like that and the wrong fighter comes in, then what can you do? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, and you got to get used to it. Crowds will abuse you as well, you know.
Oh, really?
Oh, jeez.
Have you had some shit like that, yeah?
Yeah, loads, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
But why though?
Oh, okay, so you do a lot of like white collar shows, for instance, and they have auctions.
Okay.
I hate auctions.
What does that mean?
So you'd auction like a signed glove off of
Anthony
Joshua or whatever,
sorry, sorry.
But then they turn the lights on, so then everyone's looking at you in the face, and then it's soul destroying, going, "Will anyone give me 20 quid?" And then people shouting out, "Give you £1!" And someone puts their hand up and then runs away, and you're like, "Oh, I hate you all." I did a show once in Southend, and we were doing an auction. And they turned it was only a really small little hall, and they turned the lights on. There was a guy at the back, and throughout this auction, I think I had 3 or 4 pieces. One bloke at the back stood looking at me the whole time, just going like that.
No, really?
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Did you find him after?
Yeah, I was like, "Cheers, mate."
Jesus Christ, lad.
Fuck off, mate. It's meant to be a boxing show.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, things like that you get abused for. But yeah, on the whole, I get a lot of love, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's sick. So what's cooking up then? What have you got? Again, not being a promoter as such, but you looking to any fights in the next promotions?
Yeah, we've got Wolverhampton MTGP coming up.
Yeah,
That's
March, isn't it?
Yeah. That's early on in March. I think it's the 7th, I want to say. So yeah, up there. There's another show at the O2. Grace Spicer's fighting for a WBC title on the 8th. Again, Grace I've known for years. She's a lot of fun. Lovely girl. So that'd be a good show.
Nice.
In Paris, look forward to later on. Back out to Canada again in April.
What's that? Who's that for?
For Kieran, he's got the Muay Thai World Cup out there.
Okay.
So yeah, that was we went out last November. That was pretty special. They don't have a lot of pro shows out there in Canada, so it was almost like sort of going back in time 20 years, you know. A lot of big amateur scene, but not many pro shows. So yeah, that was a special event. There was a lot of, I think he sold like 3,000 tickets there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nice.
And the crowd were wicked, really supportive, you know.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing I heard get shouted out all night was "kick his ass,"
Canadian,
which is different from the
Yeah.
UK scene. If you've been to a UK show, you've heard some abuse.
Oh yeah.
They're so nice, aren't they?
Kill him! Knock his head off! Brilliant advice. You want that in your corner, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Drunk people with beers telling you to smash him.
Yeah, it's a
Go
spectator
forward.
sport.
Knock him out. I'm trying. Fuck off.
Well, keep your hands up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like you get to do it.
When I had my fight, I heard someone shout out, was it chin up, hands down? So
Chin up, hands. How's
and
that
these
work?
people work in the sport as well. It was a referee actually as well. It was Chris Battledore shouted out, chin up, hands down.
I think he wanted
Thanks,
to get
mate.
you knocked out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. Well, I'll definitely look after some of their fighters. Do you know what I mean? And the up and coming shows, and hopefully hit a few of them as well. Hey, you do your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One quick question: female fighters. There's not a lot of them, you know, on the fight scene. There's some really good ones. You know, you got Man Barlow.
Yeah.
What do you think can be done in terms of, you know, promoting more female getting in the ring and?
Well, I get Julie Kitchen's doing a good job of this, isn't she?
Okay, yeah. And her daughter as well, Amber.
Yes, of course, yeah. There's a lot of good female fighters out there. Christy Brereton, Marn Barlow. You know, there's a lot of good fighters. You know, just from this country alone. Let alone the talent in the rest of the world, like you know Georgina van der Linden in Holland and
Anita Mexon,
yeah,
there's quite a few, but it just
Mexon's
seems
amazing as well. Yeah, I saw her in Thailand fighting in a tournament. She was the real deal. I think she knocked out 3 or 4 cold as well. You know, I haven't seen many females not consistently knock people out, so she's pretty special. I saw her years ago doing that. It's one of those things. The scene just will get stronger and more competitive. And then in the mainstream, you've got like Katie Taylor and whatnot, sort of making women's fight sports more. I don't know what's the word.
More out there.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of good female fighters. They get chances on all the shows, and as they should. They should be getting exposure. So yeah, I mean, Aman, she's fought everywhere, hasn't she? And I got to know Aman and her mum and Mark and Ty. Again, been on a lot of trips with them. Mark's a very funny guy. I get on well with him. So I've travelled, done fights with her in Barcelona and London, up north, all sorts of places. So she's fought all over the world. Fought in Thailand since she was a kid. Special talent. So they should be highlighted. But unfortunately, there's a gap sometimes between those top level girls and the rest, because they are so far ahead at the moment. But again, that'll start to close, and it'll get more and more competitive. It's the natural growth, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Where can people find you if they want to?
I'm like a tech retard, aren't I?
They can definitely see you at the up and coming shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see me at shows. Yeah.
You definitely hear the voice.
Listen, I do check my messenger if you Facebook me. Everyone that knows me knows I'm terrible at answering my phone. I don't like being online. But
that's probably a good thing.
If you get hold of me on Messenger on Facebook, Peter Lowe, the man in the know. I am on Twitter, not Twitter, Instagrams.
Yeah.
The Instagrams. The Instagram sheets.
But also, come at shows and, come and say hello to you, I guess.
Oh, yeah. No, don't. No,
don't.
After this podcast, never talk to me again. I'm only friendly for TV purposes. Right? No, I always say hello. I'm it's we're all one community. Yeah,
for sure.
We're getting well, so yeah, always come over and say hello. Make sure you do.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you.
So if there is someone that's not necessarily into the fight scene, and and wants to become an announcer, because not everything is all about fighting.
Yeah.
There's so many other roles that you could do and still have a passion for the sport.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Follow your passion. Follow your passion. Don't expect anything to come easy and it to come overnight. And if you're going to be an MC, don't expect it to make you a millionaire. But if you love it, you'll enjoy it, and there's work out there. I think that's the main thing. If you follow your passion and you work around what you love, then you're not working anymore, are you?
Yeah.
Technically you've retired, and I'm all about that. So yeah, follow your passions, and you have to prove yourself as well. These are small industries, and it's word of mouth. So if I was unreliable, I didn't turn up early for shows, I wouldn't get the work I've got. It's because I have some knowledge, I suppose, but I'm also reliable. I make sure I'm always on. I try not to be late, and I always get there a few hours early, and that's the main thing. You be reliable, and enjoy it. Work around what you love.
Yeah.
Thank
nice
you.
one. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.